We got this tweet from Mark J. Perry. He says, get woke, go broke. Target shares have dropped by 15.3% in the last 11 days since the boycott started over LGBTQ-friendly kids' clothing, representing an eye-popping loss in its market value of $11.4 billion. The story from Fox Business. They say Target and Bud Light investors lose billions on marketing misses. Target and Anheuser-Busch have lost a combined $28 billion in market value. The Target thing stands out the most to me because this wasn't, look, I understand the Dylan Mulvaney thing. Dylan Mulvaney's audience are children. Dylan Mulvaney is effectively just playing a character like Borat or who was the other character he played? Bruno? Was that it?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Ali G. All those guys.
That's basically what Dylan Mulvaney's doing. And when people see that, they're put off by it. They're angered by it. They're insulted by it. They say, hey, we want an apology.
Well, it's also an adult male playing the role of a little girl.
Yep.
Which made it even more, yeah.
That's like Bruno. That's like, it's right. It disturbs people. What I've heard from many people is, and I'm not trying to be overtly derisive, but people have said disgust.
Yes.
And so at first I was saying of the Bud Light boycott that people just don't want to be associated with an effeminate beer. Then I had people say to me like, no, they look at it with disgust because it's associated now. I can understand the boycott there is very strong. The emotions are very strong. The thing with Target is that this is just a company doing their typical Pride Month thing. All of the companies are going to start putting the Pride Month stuff out there. Target now losing billions, $11.4 billion in market value for doing what companies have done for some time. That marks a massive shift. That's why I think this story is so important. Because typically, these companies do this stuff, nobody bats an eye. Conservatives don't do a thing. But now we're experiencing a cascade in an exponential gain in in the Bud Light effect. That is,
yes.
Here's how I described it earlier. Somebody's holding shares stock in Target and Bud Light. Let's say they got 100 of each, hypothetical number. And they're told, don't worry, the Bud Light thing will blow over, boycotts never work. And they say, okay, and they're sitting on $63 per share. Now it's at 59 and they're going, dude, I just lost like 8% because you told me to wait. So they sell. That triggers the price going down even more. But they're also holding Target stock. Let's just say it's at a hypothetical number X. And then the controversy breaks. They go, nuh-uh, I am not going to wait around and lose another 10%. They sell. Now there is a fear in the market being brewed. Doesn't matter if you actually oppose wokeness. It doesn't matter if you support wokeness. All that matters is if a company gets woke, their stock will go down. And that will create a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And I think what happened with the whole Bud Light effect, as you called it, which is a great term, is it gave conservatives confidence because we had zero reason to be confident in any type of boycott. I've said for years, we've got to pick one company. I've said this for probably 10 years. We got to pick one company that's done something. It's got to be something we can live without. We can certainly live without horse urine. I don't want to get you a mark on YouTube here. We got to pick one company that we can do without and go all in and cause permanent economic damage. Until we cause permanent economic harm to one of these companies, it'll keep happening. We skip a couple football games, but we're back in the stands 3 weeks later, 3 games later. They don't give a crap. They know that, the conservatives will be back. They cave every time. We'll have a blip for 3 weeks. Yep. This sent the message that, oh, wow, these guys are sticking to it. They're angry. And when people see the effect of the Bud Light thing, it's like you said, it's self-fulfilling. Now they're wanting to recreate it. They're energized and they have a confidence level of, hey, we can actually do this as conservatives. Like, wow, we do have half the buying power.
Take a look at this story from New York Mag. Just asking questions is the section. Bud Light, Target, and a new era of corporate caution by Benjamin Hart. I love this. He says, initially he thought nothing would happen. He says, I assumed it would have little to no effect. Instead, it has delivered a major hit to Bud Light sales. He then goes on to say, do you think, okay, let me start over. How unusual is it for a campaign to be working this well? And do you think those factors are why it's been so successful? Ladies and gentlemen, pat yourselves on the back. I mean, this is significant. This is going on 2 months now, and it's only getting worse for any of the brands associated with the cult.
Yeah, and this is extremely encouraging to see. You mentioned a moment ago the fact that the Bud Light boycotts went very well. Significant damage was caused to a company which was pushing something horrible. I remember when the Target boycotts began, one thing I said was we need to be very careful about ensuring that we stick to the Target boycott, because this is going to determine whether the Bud Light boycott was a fluke or whether conservatives as a market are going to retain this power.
Well, yeah, they've got to be. If the thing is, if we jump out there too quick and we start trying to boycott everything, real quick, none of them will be successful.
Agreed.
And we will start losing our effectiveness. Which is back to what I was saying: is we have to cause permanent economic harm to a large company, and Bud Light has so far been that company, and it looks like their brand, man. I've never seen a brand destroyed so quickly and so succinctly ever. They're not going to be able to just come back and all of a sudden, they've put out bottles with camouflage bottles. They just put out a Harley Davidson special edition bottle.
Oh my God.
Like, it's just harming Harley Davidson. It's not bringing their brand back. And so again, if we stick to it, I don't know how long a Target boycott will last. That it's harder for a lot of people to do without.
It's not about the boycott, though. That's the important thing.
No, I get what you're saying on the other side of it, but just saying as to what conservatives will actually stick through and holding the feet to their fire economically.
I don't think conservatives actually boycotted Target. I think regular people got pissed.
Yeah.
So I see two things happening. Bud Light was a boycott. It was high-profile individuals. Then what this guy points out in the New York Mag article is that people boycott, so the media picks it up, so the news spreads, so more people boycott. With Target, I think something was happening before the news even broke. We started seeing these videos pop up of people complaining. Then news broke of Target saying they had confrontations. Well, hold on. There was not enough time to have elapsed in when people on Twitter saw videos and when confrontations could have happened.
Yeah.
I think regular people walked into Target and went, yo, WTF, I got my kids with me. I don't want them seeing this stuff. Yeah. Then they filmed videos. Then Target responded. What we're seeing now with Target's stock collapsing is connected to Bud Light. But it doesn't matter what. So here's the important thing. Look, when the way I explained this last week was that I knew this woke woman, and she inherited property from her family in New York. And she was talking about marginalized people and all of that stuff. And I asked her if a black family moved next to her property in New York, would she sell? And she went, of course. And I was like, are you kidding? I was like, that's racist. I was like, why would you do that? And she said, because property value goes down. And I was like, are you kidding me? It goes down because people like you do this. And she's like, yup, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not going to be the one who gets economically hurt by the system. What people need to understand is that the biases, I've talked about this before, this is the systemic bias. The market responds to fear of the market.
Yes.
And we've now created that because of Bud Light. It does not matter what people do going to Target. All that matters is the stock will go down.
Yep.
That means you could do absolutely nothing, and people holding Target will lose money because of the negative press, causing them to panic sell, causing the price to go down, creating a cascade effect.
I'm reminded of this quote that's attributed to Mayor Amschel Rothschild, who founded the Rothschild banking dynasty, which was like the precursor to the banking, this liberal economic order banking dynasty is the Rothschilds. They said that he said, give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes its laws. So when you talk about having control of money, it's not necessarily who prints it. That's not where the control ends. It's how you spend it. And when you get enough people to come together to choose how to spend their money and how not to spend their money,
Absolutely.
You are more powerful than any amount of lawmaking. And this is shown with this AB InBev drop in 11% of their stock value and Target's drop in 11%. I mean, you can make bank runs. That's the most powerful force on earth if you want to talk about like. And I'm not advocating for that. I thought a lot about that over the last 15 years. Like, wow, I could just tell everyone to pull their money out on a certain day at a certain time. But it's like that almost feels like economic terrorism. But that amount of power that you could to move the market and control Earth.
I think Congress commits economic terrorism on us every single day
their
they're in
job.
session.
Yeah, it's their job. This phrase economic terrorism, I was just going to mention this because you're absolutely correct that the people have a tremendous power. This is called the dollar democracy. You can choose where you spend your money and companies are afraid of that. That is why they're trying to label what's happening to Target a kind of economic terrorism. They're referring to us as extremists for not wanting to shop there anymore. It's because they're scared.
I think as long as you're not trying to hurt people and destroy the system. There's no terror involved. You have
course
no
not.
responsibility or to spend your money anywhere.
Well,
That's
remember,
totally up to you.
the terror is the inverse. The terror is when Antifa is like, you must support these things or else.
Or when they burn Target down, like they did. Target got burnt down by BLM in a riot, and then they issued a statement saying, we support BLM. People
I forgot.
started
That was amazing.
boycotting
That was
Target
amazing.
because they're pushing the gross, groomy LGBTQ agenda onto kids. And Target was like, well, this is completely unacceptable. You have no right to do that.
Did you see Elijah
No, Target
Schaefer's
said,
post?
we're so sorry, we're going to hide all this stuff in the back and then whisper to the LGBT community saying, don't worry, we got your back. So,
Well, they did kind of like what Bud Light did. We're hiding it in the back because these conservatives are so dangerous they're going to come hurt you. And then one thing that I like to point out that a lot of people missed with the whole Bud Light thing, everyone, there's all this talk you hear constantly that, Bud Light, they fired their VP of marketing. They didn't fire anyone. Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
They're on paid leave. And if you even read their statement as to why she went on paid leave, at the end of the statement, I don't have it in front of me right now. I could pull it up, I guess. It says something to the effect of being concerned for the safety of our employee, almost implying she was in so much danger from conservatives by being out in front. They never disavowed anything they did. Conservatives wanted to call victory on that, and you can't.
I want to jump to the story from Newsweek. Ladies and gentlemen, the latest update in the sales numbers coming through this morning at 7 a.m. Bud Light sales dropped 29.5% in latest week. 30%. We round up here. 30%. That is massive.
Anecdotally, we were
that is brutal, dude.
We were at a hotel over the weekend, and they had drink tickets from 537 free drinks. I was like, great, I'll get a beer. I'll get something IPA. They're like, the only free beer is Bud Light. Did you notice that? Did you guys notice that?
For real?
Did they say that?
Yeah. It was Bud Light and one other Bud.
Oh, that's
like, man, they're just they cannot
funny.
shove it out the door fast.
Like, you know what? I'll pay for my drink, okay?
Thanks, I'm not getting the cheap free.
They're trying to move it. They can't get out.
Well,
They
it's
can't get off the
inspiring,
shelves.
and so they know it's going to go bad eventually, and so it's going to be worth literally zero to them. So I mean, the
Negative.
economic situation,
it becomes a cost.
They have to remove it.
How long does beer last?
It depends on the beer and the bottle, even down to the cans. It depends on the beer and the cans. Like, I mean, it's some people say different times. You can easily have a beer for 6 months, but you got to keep in mind. Some people say way longer. I wouldn't say, but you got to keep in mind those beers that are on the shelf. They came and got it and put it on the shelf on Thursday.
Right.
That beer was not canned with a company like Bud Light. That was not canned, the week prior.
Right.
This is a massive process with these things. So they've been traveling around the country depending on where they're at.
Does it get better like over time, like wine?
No, definitely not.
Gets more bitter, more like rancid.
Probably flattens, right?
It flattens. I don't know that I would say rancid. I haven't tried a super old beer, so I can't really say, but I do know it goes bad.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.